What is up, everybody? Welcome to another weekly update. In this video, we're going to be talking about weeks 16 and 17 at ATP Flight School, or weeks 5 and 6 of my instrument training at ATP Flight School, however you want to put it. In the video, like usual, we're going to talk about how many times I flew, what types of flights I did, my thoughts, and be sure to listen to this one because there was a whole lot that happened during these 2 weeks, and it was stressful, yet there were lots of great learning experiences. Now, during these weeks, as far as how many times we flew 7 times. We flew just 2 times in the 16th week, and then we flew 5 times in the 17th week. Now, the plan for this 300 nautical mile cross-country trip was to fly VFR for our first leg and then fly IFR for our second leg. We were going to depart from Ogden, fly up to Twin Falls, Idaho, then over Boise, and then Ontario, Oregon, and then fly back and land in Boise, Idaho, and refuel. We were then going to fly either direct to Ogden or to Twin Falls and then back to Ogden. I can't totally remember, but things went definitely a little bit unexpected. We took off and everything started out really great, and we flew up to Twin Falls, Idaho. We did a touch and go there, and then we flew actually over Boise, which was cool because we were able to fly, and there were some commercial airliners, Southwest, Alaska, Delta, all that, and they were flying and doing their landings and takeoffs right below us, so that was cool. And we made our way up to Ontario, Oregon. We did a touch and go there, and then we flew back and we ended up landing in Boise, which is a Class Charlie airport, so a little bit bigger than a Class Delta, not quite as big as Salt Lake or Atlanta or the huge ones you hear about, but it was still fun to get that experience. Now, here's what happened. We landed in Boise and we didn't have that much fuel left, so we went to the FBO, we parked, and a guy came up in his fuel truck and he said, "Hey, are you guys needing avgas?" And we said, "Yeah, can you fill us up?" And he said, "No, the people who usually do the general aviation and fill them up with gas, they can't do it until 8 p.m. tonight. And I have other customers, I can't help you guys out either." So he said, okay. We went in, we talked to the FBO, and they said the exact same thing. They said for whatever reason, they couldn't fill us up until 8 p.m. that night, which would mean that we would have to sleep overnight in Boise, because unless you're doing a night flight to fulfill a specific requirement, ATP doesn't really want you to fly at nighttime. Yet we didn't have that much fuel, so we couldn't depart and fly back to Ogden. So there's certain policies at ATP that we were trying to work around. So we ended up sitting at this FBO for a while. It was really cool and nice FBO, which was fun. We called ATP and talked to them for a while, and we got permission to actually depart. And we landed in Twin Falls with very little fuel. They have a self-serve fuel pump. So we taxied over to that, and turns out the fuel pump wasn't working. So there we are, now we're in Twin Falls. We have even less fuel, the fuel pump's not working, and the FBO is closed. So we were thinking we were gonna have to sleep over in Twin Falls without any of our toiletries, clothes, or anything like that. But luckily on ForeFlight, we found an after hours number, and this guy was super nice. He drove from his house to the airport, got in the fuel truck, came and filled us up and topped us off with full tanks. So shout out to you. I can't remember his name, but he was awesome, super nice, and he was able to make it so that we didn't have to sleep a night in Twin Falls. So after we got full tanks, we got out of there. We flew direct back to Ogden. So that was a super fun experience. We did our pre-flight planning. I believe there should be a NOTAM when a self-serve fuel tank isn't operative. But anyway, there wasn't a NOTAM, so we thought the self-serve fuel was going to work. But nonetheless, it was a good experience. It doesn't hurt to call an FBO and make sure everything is working normally before you actually go and fly to that airport. But yeah, so that flight was really fun. It was really pretty. I love flying around here in the West with the mountains and everything. It's super fun. And now after I had done that flight and finished other sim sessions, I was then ready for my mock check ride, where I fly with another lead instructor. We sit down, we do an oral, and he grills me on IFR instrument questions. And then we actually go out and we simulate an instrument check ride. So the oral was really well. I feel like my ground knowledge was pretty good. And then we went out and we did the flight, and we did, I think, 3 different approaches we did one approach at one airport, and then we did 2 different approaches at another airport. And then we also did holding procedures as well as lost comms procedures. And I think everything went pretty well. From what he said, I would have passed a check ride in his opinion. with the way I performed during that flight, so I felt pretty good overall. Now after the mock check ride, we actually had a couple of instrument Checkride Prep flights left and a couple different simulator sessions left to get me ready for my instrument check ride. And these were good. We were really just trying to focus on the small things that I maybe had a tendency or a habit to get wrong and just kind of sharpen the saw with those things. But yeah, by the end of these weeks, I actually was endorsed to take my instrument check ride, and that's at the time of me filming this video. Right now, today is July 22nd. I'm endorsed. I'm just waiting to take my instrument check ride. By the time you see this video, I'll probably post it in August because I'm not trying to upload 5 videos at a time. I try to space them out. By the time you see the video, I will probably actually be done with my instrument check ride. Hopefully I will have passed. The biggest thing I can say about my instrument training up to this date is that the flying isn't extremely difficult. IFR stands for Instrument Flight Rules. All you're doing is just following rules. You just follow simple steps and rules. But where it can get a little complicated are those rules and regulations. There's tons of different regulations when it comes to instrument flying, and it can get pretty confusing. So right now I'm just trying to work on my ground knowledge and making sure I know all the regulations, where I can find them, knowing how the instruments work, and knowing how the instrument world works, I guess I would say. It's kind of a whole different topic. It's completely different from everything you learn as a private pilot, like I was saying earlier. That's all I've got for you. Thank you for watching again. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. I'll try to get back to you. And again, there's links in the description if you need any pilot gear or products, and safe flying.